Perfect.
Okay, so Deb, you're recording?
Hold on there. I've got to find your name to do this.
No, it's okay. I think I am recording, so we're good.
Okay.
So we can go to the next slide. Oh, there we go. Thank you. We now welcome our guest speaker who's coming, or no, she's not coming. We'd like to go where she is. She is currently in Spain, and it is Mony Dojeiji. And Mony is a writer, speaker, and spiritual pilgrim whose current work is rooted in the teachings of A Course in Miracles. She is the author of several books, including her latest, Walking A Course in Miracles, A Pilgrim's Spiritual Companion. It's a contemplative journey into the heart of the Course's wisdom. And through her talk, her writing, and pilgrimages, Mony shared a vision of peace, presence, and the quiet joy of living guided by spirit. So please join me in welcoming Mony.
Hello, everyone. What a gift and a treasure it is to be among you again, among so many familiar faces that I recognize from the Ottawa community, and obviously many new faces, many new friends to be made with the Kitchener community as well. So thank you for the opportunity to be here and to share just a few words about Zeal, this one of the powers of unity. And when Dee invited me to speak and to somehow tie in the power of zeal into this talk, of course, the first thing I had to do was to look up the meaning of the word and how unity specifically defines it. And as I'm sure you all know, as members of this community, it's that passion, that enthusiasm, that fire, that creative spark, all the energy that drives us into action. And of course, it can be, zeal for activities of the world, or it can also be that burning desire, that inner desire to get closer to God, to feel that communion with Him, her, it, however you define it. And I'm sure, all of us here in one way or another have felt this zeal, whether it's inner directed or whether it's outer directed. And I consider myself someone who has that zeal, certainly that inner desire to be in continual communion with God, to feel that presence that is with me in every single moment and directing all of my actions in the world. But also with that, a lot of the outer zeal, that outer enthusiasm, that energy to take ideas and move them forward in the world in terms of projects and things that are accomplished. And certainly, with my husband over the last 15 years, we have dedicated ourselves with a great deal of zeal, to sharing that spiritual vision that, we all share here as well in the many forms that we have done so. But for the last, I'd say for a few months, especially this year, I just found myself in a kind of a funk, not really interested in doing anything, even though many of the projects, that we have to do can be considered spiritual and uplifting and inspiring. And, certainly not for lack of inspiration. There are many projects that, that are quite, we're very excited about, that we have to bring forward. And I live in an environment where it's beautiful. I get to walk everywhere. There's lights. There's a lot of light. The ocean is here. I get to walk everywhere. So it's certainly not because I'm not in settings that are inspiring. But I just I couldn't find that zeal. I couldn't find that passion. And a lot of that funk wasn't just outer related, it was also quite inner. It was tied to the idea of, okay, I have been on this spiritual path now for almost 30 years. I have done a great deal of inner work. I have done a great deal of healing. I have worked hard to really to liberate myself, to liberate my relationships, my world from all of the fears, of the judgments, the expectations that I had projected upon them, and to truly leave nothing but blessings there, desiring nothing but blessings wash over all of those experiences, and to truly feel at peace with all that, all of those situations. And I am generally at peace, and I have the tools to return to peace. You know, if some kind of a memory from the past or a situation comes up that disturbs that peace, I recognize it for what it is. You know, the teachings as a, as a student of the course, I recognize it as an echo or a remnant of a thought that is showing up occasionally, but that I know has been healed. It is something that I have worked on before. It's something that's been undone, something corrected. This is the forgiveness practice of the course, is to recognize that this is something that comes from a past idea or memory that's lingering. So I give it to what the course calls the Holy Spirit, which is that inner teacher, the inner guide, that voice that speaks for love, the voice that speaks for God or our creator. And so I give this erroneous thought from the past that is creating this sense of fear or that is disturbing my peace. I give it to him. I recognize this is all being corrected, and I open myself to receive the thought that is going to bring me peace. And I accept that if that idea doesn't come right away, it's going to come. But I know that it is resolved. It's in his hands, in her hands, in the hands of spirit. Everything is being taken care of, and I will see the effects of it in my world eventually, in one way or another. But above all else, I receive the peace. This is the most important aspect of this practice of forgiveness of the course. And I recognize if there's something for me to do, I will be shown in that stillness that I share, or that I enter with the Holy Spirit or with God. If there's action that needs to be taken, I will be shown, and I will go ahead and take it. So that is the forgiveness practice of the course. And it's a practice that I'm committed to, with my husband as well. And I have to say, I have seen tremendous changes in not only my relationships, but in myself as well, and in all the experiences that I have. Changes that can really be called miracles. Um, so it's not as if my practice, my spiritual practice, isn't bringing me peace and a sense of connection. It is. But even with all of that, the passion, the interest, the enthusiasm just was not there. And I could not connect with it in any way. And there was a deeper question that I was really grappling with. And it was a sincere, question of, why am I still here? Truly, what is left to be corrected or to be undone that has not already been undone, that I haven't considered? And what is left for me to do, really, that I haven't done, whether it's outer focus or inner focus? And just to be clear here, this is not about wanting to end my life or anything like that. I'm not talking about that. It was more at kind of at a very profound level, especially after years of studying and practicing the teachings of A Course in Miracles. I understood very, very clearly that if I moved on, all of my relationships, all of my world moves on with me, but healed, without all of my projections upon them. That is the gift or the fruit of the forgiveness practice of the course. This is the fruit or the result of doing all of this, so that I can now see what is eternal. I can look upon the love that binds all things, that is eternally there, beyond the forms, beyond the bodies, beyond the illusions. I can get to experience the joy. I can see the light that is eternally shining on us. And so for me, this wasn't about loss. It was all about return, about remembering all that I had forgotten. It was about joining with totality, with the all once again. And I was feeling that, quite deeply, I was feeling, you know, I'm ready to move on. I'm ready to take that step, and I'm ready to bring these healed relationships and situations, everything with me. And I really felt deeply that it was time, that it really was time. And kind of that thought together, you know, I've done all of the inner spiritual work. I have done a lot of outer spiritual projects. All of that was kind of putting me in this state of there's nothing left to do. I mean, I'm not interested in anything else. It's just there's just nothing for me to really be passionate or excited about. And what I finally came to understand after, you know, much time in silence, after many walks along the beach or through the town, after many moments of stillness, I came to appreciate that I am still analyzing everything through the limited lens of Mony. Mony. Mony may think her work is done. Um, Mony may think that she has absolutely nothing more to say or to do, but Mony does not have the bird's eye view. She does not see the whole universal plan or her part in this plan. She doesn't know really how she can best be used, how her talents, how her abilities can be used to maximum effect. But the Holy Spirit, that inner guide, you know, that voice that speaks for love, does know. And if Mony is still here, it is because she still has some kind of a role to play in extending that universal love that binds all things. She still has a role to play. And perhaps, although she's not aware of it, she still has work to do to refine or to perfect that Christ vision, that light in her, that way of seeing herself through the eyes of love, seeing all her brothers, all of her world through the same eyes of love that God, that Spirit sees all of us. So if she's still here, there's work to do in perfecting that. And it's not Mony that knows what's to be done or not, or what's left. It's not her. She doesn't know. She only has her past interpretations and perceptions to go by. She does not have the whole picture. But Spirit or God, that loving presence in her life, yes, does know. And her part, Mony's part, my part, is to stop evaluating and to stop judging my progress. You know, what Mony considers progress. There is a great quote, one of many incredible quotes, and of course in Miracles, that says, you know, you have judged many of your greatest moments of success wrongly. What you have seen as success have really been retreats, and what you have judged as retreats have truly been your greatest advances. And so from the limited perspective where you are, you really are in no position to truly judge what is a success and what is a failure, what is advance in your journey, and what is retreat. That is what the inner guide is for. That is what the Holy Spirit is for. And my part is to keep surrendering to him, her, to keep trusting his wisdom, to feel that love, that presence that is with me, and to be at peace truly, because he is guiding me and going with me wherever it is that I go. And as for that lack of enthusiasm for doing and projects and all of that, I was also reminded that that inner spark, that flame that is within us, that is eternal. It was given to us by our Creator, by God, in our creation. So it can never, ever go out. It is life. It is spirit. It is absolute joy and innocence and purity and abundance. It is all of that, and it is ours. And that flame, that passion, isn't necessarily always fiery and loud. It can also be steady. It can be a flame that is calm, confident, present, connected, like a lighthouse, for example, or a lantern or a lamp on a path. That flame, for example, doesn't leap or roar or jump up and down. And yet that flame, its steady presence, it lights the path. It shows the next step. It guides all ships to shore. It's not in a hurry. It is steady, present, and it certainly doesn't need to prove itself in any way. And that flame is able to fulfill its purpose perfectly and completely. So that realization was for me a big shift, because I had associated zeal with enthusiasm, of course, and with doing, with creating, with achieving, more books, more events, more talks, more ways to share that vision and to extend that love. But zeal, I have come to appreciate, is not just about doing, it is also about being present, being steady, calm, being available, being faithful. It's not always, those great big bursts of energy and expression, but zeal is also that very quiet commitment to show up moment after moment in love. It is also to rest in love, knowing that we are held, that we are whole and complete, and that truly we need do nothing, because that eternal spark that we are is already whole and perfect and complete, because it was given us in our creation by our Creator. So there is nothing that I need do to fix that or make that go more brilliantly in the world. It knows what to do. It absolutely can move on its own through this body if I simply allow it to do so without placing my definition and interpretations upon how that should look like. And to be honest, I was never one who ever allowed myself to truly rest in any way, because I associated rest with not doing, with not creating, not moving things forward. And so to me, rest was failure. My interpretation was that it was failure, that simply being and not doing is failure, which clearly is an erroneous interpretation, which I had accepted, which in the times since then, I have really allowed myself to liberate from within me. And I have, since then worked to accept that rest is holy, so is quiet, so is surrender. They are all sacred because they are so full and so rich. They're a time of quiet when spirit is tending to us. Not just we are with spirit, we are in its presence, which is in itself a holy experience, but at the same time, spirit is tending to us, metaphorically, tilling the soil or gathering all of the nutrients of all the love that we have sown with people, with situations, letting all the roots of that grow deep and preparing the ground. So in that new season, we are prepared for any new experiences and new efforts that we may be called on to work with. And this is a practice for me. And, for me, it's not always easy. That's part of why I'm still here, I guess. I'm not quite ready to move on. It's not an easy practice for me because I still have that voice in my mind which is telling me, oh, you're not being productive, you're not doing anything that's moving the work forward. And now, rather than kind of feeling the anxiety of, oh, I really should go do something, I just take a deep breath, and I give this idea this idea that says that my value and my worth are tied to my productivity and doing, I give that idea to the Holy Spirit. I give it to my inner teacher. My worth and my value do not come from what I do. My worth and my value were given me by my Creator, and He knows perfectly well how valuable I am in His eyes. And that is the truth that I need to accept. Everything else is an error in interpretation if I believe that I have to do anything in order to prove my worth. And so that's an idea that I have been working with very closely, because it's this idea of my zeal being always active, always outwardly focused, always doing. It's taking me away actually from presence, from being, from feeling that presence that's with me in every single moment. And from that place of presence, if there is something for me to do, I will be guided to do it. And I will do it knowing that the full power of that presence is with me as well. So that's now my practice. This is what I do. My doing is practicing being. And what does that look like for me? Well, for example, I might go for a walk and hold the thought that God goes with me wherever I go. And only love is real. Those can be thoughts that are in my mind. And nothing more than thinking that brings a smile to my face. And I allow that to simply radiate out into the world wherever I am. And I allow its blessing to simply fall upon wherever or whoever happens to be in my path as I am walking. Another way that I practice that is I might sit with a friend. And no matter what that friend is saying to me, no matter what situations they're bringing to me, I hold in my mind the thought that what forever joins me to my brother, beyond, this body, beyond the illusion, beyond the words that are being said, what truly forever binds me to them is love, holiness, innocence, light, purity. That is the Christ that is in them, and that is in me. That is what binds us. And I am so grateful that I get to be able to witness to that Christ. That is the Christ vision that the Course speaks about, and that unity and other traditions also speak about, being able to see beyond the illusion into what is eternally there and unchanging, which is the light, the love that God created. I might speak to my plants when I water them and tell them how much I love them. I have a feeling that many of you already do that anyways. I might make some cookies or prepare a meal or bake a cake, but with love and with presence. So many ways, so many small ways to practice that kind of quiet, steady, connected presence, that definition of zeal. And finally, I offer every apparently small or insignificant act of presence to the Holy Spirit, to my inner teacher. And I say to him, use this simple act to fulfill your mighty purpose, which is always love and always loving. And let that be enough. Thank you all so much, and blessings upon blessings to you all.
I don't know, do we have a meditation, Mony Dojeiji?
I don't know.
Okay.
I guess we'll continue with the song.
Yeah. Thank you.